What's going on, everyone? Ryan from the MTG Homebrew Network here to bring you today a Storm deck for Tiny Leaders. This is an all-in Storm deck. This is trying to cast all of its spells on one turn, and it does it pretty well. I've played a couple games with it as far as like playing in a tournament goes, and it's definitely impressed me as far as like the stuff that it can do. So to start, the leader is Eruth, Tormented Prophet, legendary creature, 2/4 human wizard. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Instead, you may play those cards this turn. This is an all-in deck. This is going to allow you to dig super hard with specific cards. We'll get to those in a moment. Starting with the idea of your sequences, it's going to be play an effect that makes things cost less, specifically like Helm of Awakening, Baral, Chief of Compliance, Goblin Electromancer, Ral, Monsoon Mage, Runaway Steamkin kind of, and Thunderclap Drake. Land one of those permanents, you only need one, and then cast your leader and have it live. That's going to be easier said than done, but it's definitely the plan. You have some counterplay, like a Malevolent Hermit kind of thing, just to protect your leader from their spell or whatever they're going to do. So getting to the actual spells, the way to generate mana and card advantage, we have cards like Breakthrough. So 1 blue mana and X. Draw 4 cards, then choose X cards in your hand and discard the rest from it. With Eruth on the battlefield, this becomes draw 8 cards into exile for 1 blue mana. If you have no cards in your hand, then that's it. If you have any cards in your hand, discard all of them. This kind of incentivizes you to use your mana stuff first, specifically like your Desperate Rituals and your Pyretic Rituals. Snap, as it were, is a, mana positive spell if you have something that reduces its mana cost by 1. But the idea is you have this card that puts the cards into exile instead of needing to discard them from your hand, so you just keep the 8 cards that you drew. We have 2 other copies of this card in Goblin Lore and Control of the Court, which are more or less the same card. It's draw 4 cards, then discard 3 at random. On its face, all of these cost 1 mana and draw you 8 cards. You do not get that kind of effect in a normal Storm deck. And I say that because the other option really is Ral Monsoon Mage for like the Storm deck. You could build it in such a way that it does the thing, but I feel like if you're going to be landing a spell like this, you can just play more of them that are worse, per se, and then having a different leader that can generate you a ton of card advantage, like Eruth. We also have spells like Burning Inquiry is draw 3, which becomes draw 6, and then effect. We have things like Brainstorm, which on its face already good. Draw 3, then do something with other cards. That becomes draw 6 for 1 mana. Eruth just makes all of your draw spells that you're playing that draw more than 1 card become really potent, and they don't have a downside at that. One of the best ones in the deck is Frantic Search, because it becomes draw 2, well, it becomes draw 4, discard 2, untap 3 lands. If you have something that makes it cost less, it's mana positive. So we are aiming towards winning the game with a spell like a Brain Freeze, where you're putting cards into your opponent's graveyard based on Storm, or you are working towards Underworld Breach, which can set up your mill turns, or if they have a way to shuffle their graveyard in, you also have like a Grave Shot in the sideboard for the 2nd and 3rd game. Hopefully just the 2nd game. But we have things like Hidden Strings that can untap your lands, Snap will untap your lands, things that are just like technically mana positive, in the same way that like a Pyretic Ritual would be, where you just make 3 red mana. And we also don't get cards like Metamorphose, because that's a green card, so we have to rely on things like Strike It Rich to fix our mana towards those colors. You have to be very heads up with your things that you're untapping and using your blue lands for the draw spells, like Brainstorm and Frantic Search. Red mana is very free because you have, a bunch of rituals like Seething Song and Desperate Ritual. All of those things really like push you towards having a ton of red mana. Same thing with like Jessica's Will if your opponent has cards in their hand. Jataxian Probe's cute. It just becomes free, draw 2 cards. and look at their hand, but at that point you're just kind of winning the game anyways. As far as like your lands go, it's really just like fetches and things that find Thundering Falls so that you can get that early value. Fiery Islet becomes draw 2 cards when you need it to be that. We're also playing Temple of Epiphany because like the first couple turns of the game can just be like set up your mana in a way that is beneficial for you to have dual lands. And on your Storm turn, if you need a mana from a land, you'll likely hit one that isn't Temple of Epiphany. I've encountered no detriments from my hubris of including this in my deck as a tapped land. But yeah, it's just a very straightforward Storm deck. I'll try to get some gameplay footage in with it, but it's just play your mana reducer, play your leader, draw a ton of cards, and have an inevitability with some amount of breach lines in your deck to the point where you can just not have to worry about you're not going to run out of resources if you sequence your draws and your mana efficiently, especially when you have like 4 lands. As long as you like hit your land drops and do the Storm thing where you just save your resources for the turn that you go off, you'll have great success with this deck. Yeah, that's Storm. Thanks for watching.